Welcome back to the Big Lab podcast. In this episode, I speak to Holly. We talk all about health myths and fad diets that surround the fitness industry and how to avoid them. If you enjoy this episode, please drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll let you get on with the episode. Holly, welcome to the Big Lab podcast. How are we?
Thank you. I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. It feels like a while since we actually saw each other at the James Smith book tour a couple of years ago.
That was
2 years ago?
Nearly 2 years ago? Yeah, it must have been.
That's gone far too quickly. It's about 18 months ago, isn't it? It was like November time, I think.
Yeah. And then we went to, it was later in the year, we did IFS, didn't we?
We did.
The same year? It was the same year?
I think it was just before, I think.
Yeah.
I think IFS was like August.
It was in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
November was James Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's gone far too quickly. That's like 18 months, literally, to 2 years. Wow.
Time flies.
I know. So for the people listening, do you want to give yourself like a little bit of an introduction, who you are, what you do?
So my name is Holly. I'm an online coach and I help women build better habits to feel a lot more confident. And I do that kind of through the gym, through eating, through kind of self-confidence, all that kind of stuff.
So are you purely online or do you do in person as well?
No, I'm purely online now. I used to do one-to-one. I did one-to-one face-to-face for about 18 months, I think it was. And then I transitioned into online because it meant that I could help people a lot more. So when I was doing one-to-one, I really struggled because I was so busy, which was great. Like, it was amazing that I was so busy. But I struggled with kind of helping people outside of the gym. So, like, I can turn around and be like, hey, can you go write this program, go do the program, and it's fine. Like, a lot of them would come in on their own accord, do all of the training, but it's a lot of the kind of keeping them accountable throughout the week that a lot of people struggle with, and it's what they do outside of the gym that has so much of a bigger impact. And because I was so busy with all of my other clients, like, some people say they'd have a session on a Monday, absolutely fine. They're like, yeah, no problems, I'm going to do this, and this week. They come in on the following Monday. I'm just, like, so busy. I haven't had time to, like, check in on them or anything like that. Come in the following Monday, and I'm like, oh, how's your week been? And they're like, oh, it was awful. This happened, that happened. I went out on the weekend. I did this. I went to the kebab shop. I did that. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Right, well, I can't do anything about that now. And it's like, and then I feel bad because I just didn't have the time to help them. Whereas, like, transitioning online means that we can put in kind of, like, plans and be like, right, if you're going out, let's see what that could look like. And then they don't feel as guilty. They can still have a really nice time. They don't feel as guilty. They've got a plan going in. They can still go out with their friends. They can still have some drinks. They can still enjoy themselves. But because they've got a plan going in, they stick to it a lot better. And so therefore, a lot of the clients are getting a lot better results.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sort of moving towards the online. It's not only the time aspect. I think it's just location in general, because if you're working one-to-one, you're sort of location bound, whereas you move to online, there's the whole world out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I went on holiday in January and I worked while I was on holiday. It was great. Like, It meant that I didn't have to take time off. I could just kind of work while I was there. So I had a really good time. My clients were all fine. Like, it was great.
Win-win.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So how did you originally get into fitness to begin with? So I assume there was the whole getting into fitness and then you transitioned to PT.
So I think it was, how old am I now? It was probably about 4 or 5 years ago I first started going to the gym. I'd always kind of, like, tried to do the gym, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I was useless. I'd go in and probably stand on the cross trainer, hate it, and then just think and then because of that I thought, I was like, well, I hate the gym. But I've been on one piece of equipment. I might have gone on the bike. I might have gone on, like, the bike and stood on a treadmill for 5 minutes and went, well, this is awful. And so I was like, well, I just hate the gym and I'm not very good at the gym. And I was like, well, and that was it. And I got to a point where, especially with my job at the time, I was working kind of, like, quite a lot of, like, nights and stuff. I wasn't really taking any care of myself at all. Like, I didn't bother with what I was eating. I'd eat anything. Like, I just didn't, there wasn't any kind of care over my exercise, and kind of, like, I'd say, like, let myself go a bit. Like, I put a bit of weight on. There was no kind of, like, I didn't have any energy. Like, it was just, I just felt really, really bad about myself. And, like, I hated the way that I looked in the mirror, and I was like, this has got to change. But again, I was like, I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. So a couple of my friends had started going to the gym, and they were like, you could come with us. So I started going with them, and then I got a PT as well. And then from there, learned kind of like weightlifting and stuff like that. And I was like, actually, I do like the gym. I was just doing the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a cardio person. I really just am not a cardio person at all. I do walking and I'll do some hiking, and I don't mind swimming. But if it's any kind of like running, like, just count me out. But yeah, and then from there, I then did a load of like my own research. Spent ages on like YouTube and Instagram, just watching loads of videos, trying loads of stuff, like working alongside my PT, but like to help learn everything, and it just kind of went from there. And then, so I used to also work for an airline, so I was cabin crew, and I got made redundant from that job. And when that happened, I was like, I didn't want to go back into, because I was working in like bars and restaurants, and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I was like, it's horrible. Again, it's like, it's late nights, it's a lot of
unsociable hours,
like, and it's just like, I'd got everything out of that job that I ever needed to. Like, there was nothing more that I could get out of that job. So I was just, I'm speaking to one of my friends who was a PT, who was like, Holly, just do your PT course. He was like, this is the chance now. So I like applied for the course. Still kind of worked in the restaurant temporarily while I was doing it. And then from there, got a job at a gym around the corner, and
the rest is history.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone that I've spoke to so far on the podcast has said when they first joined the gym, they just didn't have a clue. And I think to anyone that's listening that is sort of very new to the gym, just know that all the other people in there with a lot of experience were also in the same position. I think that's a very important message to take away.
Yeah, like so many, like even some of my clients come to me first, and especially they can be a little bit nervous about signing up with an online coach, because like, oh, I think I need someone in person with me, and I'm like, you don't really. Like, you can, obviously that's their choice to make, but I'm like, everybody has been in that position where they walk into a gym and have absolutely no idea, because you're faced with like a million. If you go to like a big commercial gym as well, there's so many pieces of equipment, and it can be quite daunting, because you're just like, well, which one do I choose? What do I do? Do I do all of them? One of my clients did that, actually. She came to before she signed up to me, she was like, I just go in and I do all of them. And I was like, wow. Okay, we're gonna fix that.
Yeah, we're gonna change that one. Yeah,
change that one. I was like, good try, but you'll be there for hours.
Yeah, yeah, that's a long session.
Good, I was like, good effort, but
like 50 sets of different equipment.
Yeah, bless her. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I've moved gyms recently, about a month or so ago, and I've been going to the gym for like 11 and a half years, so I'm not like a newbie by any means, but going into a gym, there's like different brands of equipment. I looked at some of them, I'm like, how the hell do you use that? I was like, I have no idea. Luckily, the gym that I go to, they've set up a load of QR codes, so like they've put a sticker on it, and you basically scan it, and it takes you straight to a YouTube video of how to use it.
That's so handy.
So useful. And there's quite a lot of machines these days that do have them just in general, or there'll be like a little picture and with some instructions to set up.
Yeah,
so I think
some of the newer brands have got a lot of like scanning codes that you can go on and do it. But honestly, some of them look like torture devices, and you just like
Yeah, I
wait for someone else to use it and go, oh, that's how. There we go. I can do that now. Fine.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there was one of the leg presses that I went into the other day, and I was like, I'm too tall for this. Like, I literally had to fold myself in half to get into it, and I was like, that's not getting used again. I'll use the normal one over there.
Yeah. Oh, see, I had the opposite problem. I'm not short. I'm quite average height. Like, I'm 5'6", but just the way that the pad was placed, like normally I'll put my feet like right in the middle.
Yeah.
But because of the first hook that kind of like it comes down onto wasn't high enough, and then I had to go onto like my tiptoes to kind of like press it a little bit further up. But obviously, like as I was piling on more weight, I was like, I can't do this, and this thing's going to crush. This thing's going to crush me. So I like put my feet a little bit lower down so I can actually do it.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but like I say, to any newbies out there, it just shows that people with lots of experience still.
Even still, like if it's a new, even
not
if it's a new piece
struggle,
of equipment,
but yeah,
could be an exercise I've done a million times, but if it's a new piece of equipment, I'm there like, it takes me a little while to figure it out and then go, all right, okay, right.
Yeah, just different brands have different ways of working, and you just got to try it out. First of all, try it out with no weight on.
Yeah.
Don't be loading it up with your usual weight and then try
This is
and
what I
figure it
usually
out.
do. Oh, yeah, you die.
Yeah, big time. So today we're going to be speaking all sort of health myths, fad diets, sorry, and everything that you see on Instagram with the things that you see celebrities and influencers post. We're going to try and break as many of them down as possible. I think we'll go like one for one and see how many we can get through.
See what we can do.
I'll let you go first.
So we're going to start with some health myths. So first one is eating late at night is going to make you gain weight, which I think is a big one for everybody. Because they're like, oh no, I need to have my dinner at like 6 so that, you know, I don't gain loads of weight by the tomorrow morning. And it just doesn't work like that. Like,
no.
Like, your body doesn't know what time it is. It's not going to like flick a switch at like 8 o'clock and be like, well, that's enough for you. You're now going to everything else you eat from 8 o'clock onwards on the dot is now, you're now going to get fat, straight into fat, because you know you're done for the rest of the day. You're sitting down, and that kind of like, if you're sitting down and not moving, you're not like burning calories, which I've heard some people say before, and I'm like, no, because you're still like breathing, your organs, your heart's still beating, everything's still moving around, like your body's still keeping itself alive, which takes energy. But I think obviously where that tends to come from, which I think you'll agree, is because if you've kind of like not eaten enough during the daytime and you have like, say, an average evening meal, you're still probably going to be really hungry, and then people tend to kind of like binge during the evening, so they'll then start raiding your biscuit cupboard, your chocolate cupboard and crisps and stuff like that, and then because they're then consuming so much extra calories in the evening that they don't need to, they then put on some weight, but it's because they're over consuming so many calories and not really thinking about what they're actually eating. Whereas if they spread it throughout the day a little bit more, had a bigger breakfast, had a bigger lunch, had some like good high protein snacks in during the daytime, kept your normal meal, you'd probably be full enough that you don't need those indulgences in an evening.
Yeah, I think it can go both ways. So even if you were to stay within your calories and eat your standard size meal, if you ate it at 5 o'clock or you ate it at 10 o'clock at night, there's 5 hours difference there where it's not getting digested. So you're going to wake up and that food's still going to be within inside you. So the reason why you see that scale weight go up if you have a meal later at night is because that food is literally still in your stomach digesting, and it's not came out the other end yet.
Yeah. 100%. As gross as that sounds, it's true.
It's simple maths.
Because it takes time to like digest, and you've got to give your body time to like metabolize it. And if your thing is as well, like even in your evening meal, if you've had something that's like probably a little bit saltier, you've had like a few more carbs than you normally would because you're going to retain some water, you might see your scales go up, but it's not body fat.
If you have a high carb meal, 1 gram of carbs holds roughly 4 grams of water. So if you're having a really carb heavy meal later on at night, the chances are you're going to be holding a lot more water in the morning, and same with salt as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the thing I try and say to my clients as well, and I'm like, if you notice the scale's gone up, like normal fluctuation for people during the month is probably about 1 to 2 kilos fluctuation throughout the month on your weight. So if you've gone up like a pound, like it's not going to be body fat as well. Like you would have to have overconsumed by 3,500 calories for that to have been a pound of fat. Which I'm there like, you have not eaten 3,500 calories after dinner. I don't believe you have at all. Like, even if you tell me you've had some extra snacks, it's not 3,500 calories worth of snacks.
But there's another thing that you've got to take into account as well. If you're working out, it's not just 3,500 calories, because some of that is then also going to go potentially into a bit of muscle as well, and or they're just general body repairs. If you're in a surplus, it's not all fat.
Yeah, and like the energy it takes to actually digest the food and all of that kind of stuff as well. So like it'd be even more than that, but that's the kind of like rough guideline of calories you'd have to overconsume by. But yeah, it's just, people always think like, oh no, I can't eat after this time. And it's like, you can. You just need to, again, you need to keep it within your kind of calorie allowance. And as long as you're doing that, and you know that you're doing that to the best of your ability, and you're being honest with yourself, then you will be fine. And it does help having like a professional come in and look at it as well and be like, no, you're doing fine, keep going. And monitor it that way.
Well, what I tell my clients is to weigh yourself at the same time every day after you've been to the toilet. So sort of first thing in the morning, same place, like on the floor, same clothes, and then basically take an average of your weight across the week instead of looking day by day. So go, right, week 1, let's compare it to week 2. If it's gone up, then, well, depending on what your goal is, or if it's gone down, then you assess from there. But then obviously there's a difference that I say with my female clients. So I say compare week 1 with week 5, week 2 with week 6, week 3 with week 7, and week 4 with week 8. So you're at the same point within your menstrual cycle. Yeah.
So especially it's so important for female clients as well. To monitor it that way. I did see someone actually recommend with like scale weight, if you're going to weigh yourself every single day, is take the lowest weight of that week.
Right.
And monitor it that way. I'm trying to remember the actual reason behind it now, and I really wish I'd looked it up.
I imagine it's something to do with having the least sort of water weight within your body.
Yeah, I imagine
because, like,
so.
Potentially, if you've got like a lower weight, the higher weights are probably just going to be water fluctuations. Potentially.
Yeah.
But I actually posted on my story today, so I weighed 3 and a bit pounds lighter today than I did yesterday. And I was just basically saying, like, this is how much your weight can fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. And I actually went over my calories yesterday. I was quite active, don't get me wrong, but those differences are not going to be fat loss within one day.
No.
Like,
That's like that's
impossible.
a lot to it's a lot. It's a lot to lose in one day as well. Like, and I think obviously people will then get caught up if they see that like big loss one day, like, oh my god, I'm doing so well, and then 2 days later they're like, oh, but I've put 2 pounds back on. You're like, but this is a normal that's a normal fluctuation to have. And they'll be like, oh, but I stuck to all my calories, I did this, and you're like, no, like, I believe you, it's fine, but throughout the week, it's a normal fluctuation for you to have.
If you basically zoom out on the graph and it's going in the direction that you want it to go, then don't worry too much about the number. If that graph is like,
if it's trending in the right direction, then you're like, it's working. So
it's never going to be like a straight line.
No. And I think that's the same with like training and any kind of like fitness goals. Like, nothing's ever going to go in a straight line. Like, you're not going to be hitting PBs every single session, even single week. Oh, I know. Like, the thing is, though, I think sometimes I'm like, if that were true, imagine how, like, I know there's some really strong people in this world, but even anyone that went to the gym, if you were hitting a PB every single week, everybody would be like, really hench. You were hitting PBs every single week. There
wouldn't be enough weight in the gym.
No,
I've been going for 11 and a half years. Imagine if I was going straight.
You'd be
bench
like,
pressing cars.
Yeah, literally. Lifting lorries off of women.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case.
No.
But there's so many things that can play into that, though, as well. Like, just how much sleep you got, how much you've ate during the day, how much potential stress that you've got. There's so many things that impact what you can lift on a sort of session-to-session basis.
Yeah, I think, like, sleep and stress especially impact so much. Because I also know, like, if I've had a bad day, I might go to the gym to kind of, like, keep myself busy, but there is no way I'm lifting what I would normally lift, like, at all. Because I just feel really bad. And, like, there's no way that I'm going to be there, like, let's deadlift my max, because I feel like shit. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's some days, so I say there's, like, you've got mental energy and physical energy. So, like, I could have a really draining day at work. I could then be like, oh, I don't really want to go to the gym, but I go just to de-stress. And it often is some of the best sessions I ever have, because mentally I might be a bit fatigued, but physically I'm 100%. So it's sort of knowing your own body, I think. And obviously after being at the gym for that long, I've sort of gauged when to push and when not to, depending on how I'm feeling.
Yeah. I always like test my first sets when I get there and be like,
Yeah.
right,
That'll
then dictate how the rest of the session goes.
Yeah. If the warm-up set's feeling nice and smooth, then it's
like,
going to be a good session. Yeah,
like, we're gonna have a good day today.
The worst ones are when you think that and you get like a couple of exercises in and you just drop off a cliff and there's just no energy left. You're like, what happened?
Yeah, it's really frustrating because you go in, you're like, I'm buzzing, I'm ready, I'm gonna smash this session.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be. You do like one warm-up set and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, no. And you're like shouting at the weights, just like, what? No, come on, I can do this.
Yeah, the swings and roundabouts of the gym, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, it's all part of the experience, I feel.
Yeah, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Mm-hmm. So,
100%. Anyway, I feel like we got a bit off trajectory there, but
we did. But it was very good conversation. I think. The next one, like kind of linking into the last one, is that...
Yeah, it follows on.
Yeah, the whole thing of carbs are bad. And I think that obviously links in with the keto diet as well.
Yeah.
And similar to what I said with 1 gram of carb holding roughly like 3 to 4 grams of water, the reason why people that go on the keto diet... So if you don't know what the keto diet is, it's you basically take all carbs out and you start your body running on fats and proteins, which... mental, but that's what it is. So obviously when you cut out those carbs, your main scale loss is water, because you're cutting out, say if you had 100 grams of carbs, that's going to then hold 400 grams of water. So if you're cutting that out, within a couple of days you're going to be 500 pounds lighter. 500 pounds, 500 grams roughly, like as a maths, like simple maths. That's why your scale weight drops off a cliff very quickly, and then it basically plateaus again. Yeah,
I think that's why people do it, because they see those results so quickly. They're just like, oh my God, this diet's amazing. And you're like, it's all of your water just going. Yeah. But then because of that reason as well, you then start feeling extremely fatigued. You get things like brain fog, low energy, all sorts of hosts of different side effects that come with that diet. Which is why I hope no PTs would recommend that diet. I know there's probably a fair few that do, but it's not something I would ever recommend to any of my clients, especially just in terms of kind of like functioning on a day-to-day basis. Never mind any of their like fat loss goals or anything like that, just being able to function on a day-to-day basis. And even, like, to be able to turn up to work and stuff like that, because you end up with such brain fog and you're so tired and exhausted. It's just, I don't understand how people can do it. It's maddening to me, because as well, like, obviously carbs is the fastest way to turn into glucose to use for energy. It's your body's preferred source of fuel, and it's also the only source of fuel your brain can run off, which is why you end up with brain fog, because your brain cannot run on fats and proteins. It can only run on glucose, and if you cut that out, you're starving your brain of food, essentially, on what it runs on. And I'm like, why would you do that? It sounds awful. And then they're like, why am I tired? Why do I feel like shit? Why can't I remember stuff? Like, why? Like, they forget conversations that they've had, and it's like, because your brain has no food, and it's trying to find some.
Yeah, there's also the keto flu that people tend to get. About a couple of weeks to a month in, you end up like really ill, basically, again, because you're saying like you are just depleting your whole body of carbs and sugars that your body prefers to run on. Yeah. So yeah, it's something. I guess, say if you're in like combat sports where you need to make weight, if you're struggling to make that weight in the last weeks or something, probably a very good option to use to just basically deplete yourself of water. Because I've had friends that do MMA and they end up just sitting in saunas for like hours on end in trackies, sat in salt baths to drain all the water. So I can kind of understand where it might help in that sort of world. I'm not saying that's healthy by any means whatsoever.
No, it's not, no.
Yeah, I used to just tell them, I'm like, why don't you just hang around the sort of weight that you fight at, maybe a little bit higher, then you only have to cut a couple of pounds.
Yeah, and it's easy,
Yeah, but apparently that's not the way to do it. But
I mean, I think the only time I would ever be like, yes, do the keto, if it's like recommended by a doctor or like a nutritionist or someone that actually knows what they're doing. But I think doctors only really recommend it for like epilepsy, and I think even then it's very extreme circumstances, and so they will still go through several assessments and stuff before they even recommend that as a diet option for somebody with epilepsy.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson and Michaela Peterson both went on like a carnivore diet for a while. They both had like an autoimmune disorder. I'm not too sure exactly what it was. I've seen little clips on Instagram and stuff, and they reckon that since they've been on that carnivore diet, the issues that they were having have pretty much disappeared. So I guess there are some uses.
That's the thing. I was like, because people are only doing it to lose weight, and it's just not the option. It's not the right decision to have made. Oh, I think you're frozen. Is this my internet? Oh dear.
Right.
When we got cut off.
I know. Right. So, to anyone listening that is wondering what happened there, my Mac decided to turn off and do an update whilst we were mid-podcast.
Good.
So, I think we were at the end of the keto part. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got to the end of there. But yeah, to sum up, you can eat bread is the answer.
Pasta, pizza.
Yeah, again, as long as you're like within your calories, control it. You're not eating silly portions. Then have whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then another one, which I see a lot of. I think this one comes and goes sometimes, but it's that like 0-calorie drinks are really bad for you, and it's like it's full of chemicals. And I even saw somebody once. And it was very much a whole, like, Karen at the end of the street that's been on the internet for the first time in her life, and said that they destroy your kidneys and, like, give you cancer. I was like, oh, interesting. Where did you find that from?
There is actually, I've seen videos on this and someone broke it down. So some of the ingredients that are in these 0-calorie drinks to replace the sugars and the flavours that would usually have calories in, there is evidence of excessive amounts causing like cancers and diabetes and things like that. But the amount that you'd have to have, it was like a ridiculous amount of these. Like, and it's usually energy drinks. I
actually looked this up because I think the example that got used was Diet Coke. And again, because it was to do with aspartame, right? Yes. But aspartame, I really should have looked this up separately, gets broken down into like 3 different compounds in your body. And those compounds are also present in tomatoes, meat, and like eggs as well.
Yeah, I've seen this actually.
I can't remember the names of the compounds now. But I was like, you're not going to tell people to stop eating those things because it's going to give you cancer. That's essentially what it is.
Pretty sure they're actually higher levels in those foods as well.
Yeah, very much so. And it's like, what, you're going to start telling everyone to stop eating tomatoes? Probably not. But no, the amount, because again, it's kind of like the dose makes the poison argument.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
For the aspartame in Diet Coke to give you serious health problems, you would have to have 1,400 cans a day.
I was going to say, before, I'm pretty sure it's like over 1,000 energy drinks or whatever a day for it to actually cause issues.
Yeah.
I mean, the caffeine alone would probably kill you.
The caffeine would make your heart explode before the aspartame was a problem. But I'm like, I mean, I don't want anybody to try this, but I'd be pretty impressed if somebody drank 1,400 cans of Diet Coke in a day.
Imagine the rush.
I don't know if again, I was like, your stomach probably can't even hold that much liquid either. It's like it's physically, I believe it's like physically impossible for you to be able to do that.
It'd be impressive to see it happen. I'd pay money to see that happen.
Yeah. So people are just like, it's so bad for you, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a whole argument of saying that it spikes like an insulin response as well, which then makes you gain fat. But they don't contain any calories. So it's biologically impossible for you to put that on because your body cannot metabolize something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know where you get this argument from. I really don't know where it comes from. Because your body's response doesn't work like that.
I think people just saw that, like, those studies where it says, like, these ingredients can cause these sort of health issues. They don't look into then the numbers behind it of what levels you'd actually have to consume for it to cause a problem. And then they just go with that narrative that energy drinks are bad, Diet Cokes are bad, and at the end of the day, it's really...
Yeah,
it's
and the studies...
Like, you're going to be okay.
The studies that showed that there was a problem, so but were all done on rodents as well. They weren't actually done on humans, and then the studies that then subsequently got done on humans showed that there was no response, there was no problems. And again, it was the dose that would be like, right, you'd have to drink a stupid amount for it to actually be a problem. It's the same with like, so there's cyanide in apples, but you're not going to tell someone to stop eating apples, are you? Like, because they're not. And again, I was like, I looked up how many apples you'd have to have, but the cyanide's in the apples. The cyanide's in the apple seeds. Okay, so you'd have to have, it was somewhere between 150 and several thousand crushed seeds for you to...
Who's eating apple seeds in the first place?
Psychos.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I was like, I think it's present in like pears and grapes as well. But again, it's in the thousands that you'd have to eat for you to get cyanide poisoning.
Yeah, it's like anything in moderation is going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And like say, if you're eating thousands of apple seeds in one sitting, then I'd question that more than
like,
the actual health impacts of cyanide.
Are you okay? Do you need some help? Shall I call a therapist? Like,
where'd you get all those apple seeds?
There's just chunks of apple in a box somewhere they've not eaten. Just taking the seeds out.
We're just raiding like a vegetable market just for like apple seeds, like bags and bags of apple seeds.
Like a juice bar. We're like, can I have your leftover apple seeds, please? Don't throw them away. I need them.
No. Yeah, what a way to go that would be. Jeez.
Yeah. Again, I'd be very impressed. The effort you would have to go to for that.
It's not just that though as well. Have you ever actually like accidentally ate an apple seed when you're eating an apple? It is it's minging.
It's
There's no enjoyment in that.
No. Oh dear.
Yeah. But then there's the flip side, isn't there, of the detoxes and the detoxes, I think.
Yeah.
I think they've died off a little bit now, I think, because everyone sort of realises what they're actually doing.
I haven't seen them.
You don't see as much of it anymore.
I haven't seen, even especially like, because sometimes you see a big influx in like January. I think even this year I didn't notice as bigger of an influx in like adverts.
I didn't see any, to be fair. It's usually like Love Island as well. All those get on it, and not that I watch it, I just see it, all the hate. Yeah. I don't watch any of that reality TV, to be honest. I can't stand it.
No, I can't either.
Bunch of nobodies.
I've got no interest. I feel like I don't have enough interest in other people's lives. I'm like... No,
that's the thing I don't get. Like, people get so obsessed with it. I see, like, Instagram stories, tweets, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so did that. I'm like... Why'd you care? You didn't know them 2 weeks ago.
No, exactly. I'm like I could easily
randoms off the street.
Walk past them in the middle of the street and I have no idea who they are. Like, genuinely, not a clue. Like, people say names to me and I'm like, oh, is that one of your friends? They're like, no. How do you not know who that person is? And I'm like, because
I'm glad we're on the same page on this one.
I go out and see my actual friends. That's what I do.
Yeah.
The people that I know.
I've got mates that used to go in for 9 o'clock to watch it. Really? Because they didn't want to watch it on like +1.
What they'd like if you're out at the pub or something, they'd be like, oh, I've got to go home.
I can't remember what we were doing. It might have been like the summer or something. And like we'd go out in the day or something. They'd be like, oh, got to be home at 9. Love that. I'm like, what?
That's really sad.
I was like, I thought it was just like girls that watch Love Island, but it's like there's a whole load of lads that are getting on it now.
Oh dear, they need to get.
Yeah, it's a shame.
They need to get a life.
It is a shame. Yeah, it is a shame.
I feel like
revolving your life around a 9 p.m. show that
like you could just
makes no impact on your life.
It doesn't. No. I'm like, all you're doing is watch.
But anyway,
them like around a pool all day. Like it's not even like if it was like a I don't know, like a challenge or like, like Ninja Warrior or something like that, I'd be like, I can kind of get behind it because it's almost like a bit of a sport as such. I can get behind that, but no.
No, not at all. But going back to the detoxes and the booties, don't touch them.
It's not worth it.
All they're going to do is make you sit on the toilet. Quite a lot
of them have just got a lot of laxatives in them.
Laxatives, diuretics, again, flush your water out your system, make you dehydrated, make you feel like crap.
Yeah.
And
so like
quite a lot of them have heavy metals in them as well.
Yeah.
That are really dangerous. I've seen videos where someone's got the powder and put a magnet over the top of it.
Oh, really?
And you could literally pull like iron filings and like metal filings out of this powder.
Oh my god!
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this must have been several years ago, but I think it made its way around social media as well. But somebody had invented this like fake weight loss tea thing and was like marketing it, and they tried to get a couple of people from like Love Island to be like, hey, we're going to pay you this amount of money, can you just say that you've had this and it's really good. Half of them don't try it, they don't read anything about it, and it actually contained ingredients that they used in the gas chambers in Auschwitz, and they didn't have any idea. They didn't know what any of the words meant, they didn't look them up, they were just like, yeah, just tell me how much you're going to pay me. And you're like, they're not actually concerned about people's health. They just want to get paid.
I mean, I kind of understand because I've listened to. Do you remember that? I don't know if you watched it. Remember Duran Cartel got Holly Hagan from Geordie Shore on, and basically because he'd outed her on Instagram about posting all these teas, and she turned around and said, "From our side of things, we obviously didn't know the health impacts of these drinks and what they potentially were going to do to people." We were also not getting paid that much at the time because Geordie Shore wasn't massive, but it was big enough for them to get like sponsorships and stuff like that. She was like, I needed money, and they were offering me X amount of £1,000 to post on Instagram that I'd had this tea. Obviously, they were going to take it, sort of thing, because they needed to get paid at the end of the day. And so I kind of understand from their side of things, because they're not necessarily going to be an expert of what's in these things. Yeah. They're just going to see, right, I need to get paid this month. I've not had any sponsorship deals. They're offering me 50 grand to put a couple of posts up. It's just, you're going to take the 50.
It's silly amounts of money. But I mean, I don't know. I think I would always like ask what's in stuff as well. But again, I was like, because I work in health and like actually want to help people, I'd be like, what is actually in this?
Well, that's the thing. It's different experiences, isn't it? If you're just a social media influencer that's been on Love Island, you might not have any idea. It's just we're seeing things through a different like
I think
viewpoint.
that because I did watch that episode with Holly Hagan, and it was really, really good. I really, really liked it. Obviously, that was a long time ago as well when they did those promotions
years
initially.
Ago,
obviously, since then, even like a couple of years ago, people are a lot more aware of these products that are floating around, and like there was those, what was it? I think was it Kim Kardashian did something with like a appetite suppressant lollipop or something.
I didn't see that one.
God, Google that one after.
Wow, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, it was like these lollipops will suppress your appetite, and I was like, what on earth? Like they just come up with anything. There
was that skinny jab as well, wasn't there?
Yeah. There's a new one. There's a new weight loss injection that's come out recently. There is like this one. There is like a lot of kind of research and like science behind it. So I do believe that it works, but I think it's whether people are just using it as a quick fix because they don't want to, not that they don't want to do the hard work, but probably a little bit they don't want to do the hard work.
That's the thing.
And they don't want to, whereas the way I think about it is like, do the hard work, because you're going to that sense of achievement that you will have at the end of it is going to mean so much more than the 30 seconds of that doctor giving you an injection. Again, I think it's like a form of appetite suppressant.
It most likely will be. But as well, like, if you're not willing to put the work in to get to where you want to be, once you get to where you want to be with a job, it's probably going to reverse back
that's
anyway.
The thing. And I was like,
because you've not got those building blocks.
No, you've
in
not
place.
got the knowledge or the experience of how to like monitor and like
Sustain,
manipulate
innit?
your food and how that's going to look. Like if you just carry on eating normally again after like the effects of this injection wear off, you're going to be back where you were. So this is why I think it's so important to hire a coach, because they can help you and educate you, and you work together so that you achieve these results in the long term, not just for the like 3 to 4 months you might work with them, or maybe a little bit longer depending on how long you stay with that coach. But they can give you the tools that you need that can last a lifetime. So when you get to that goal weight that you've always dreamed of your entire life, you know exactly how to sustain that and to keep it long term, which is the goal for everybody. Like they just want that quick fix and be like, right, I'm going to Ibiza in 2 months, so I need to lose all this weight next week.
Well, you see it every summer. Like when I've noticed in the gym, I see for years there seems to be about 10 or 20 of us that have dotted around the same gyms in our local area. And then like you sort of recognise the people that aren't those people, and you then notice the changes in how busy the gym is. So obviously first couple of months of the year, shocker. Then it quietens down a bit, and then sort of May, June, July time, it starts creeping back up again because people panic because they're like, I've got a holiday in 3 weeks, and it's like, why didn't you start this process a couple of months ago, and it would have been a lot more chilled out, instead of having to take these drastic measures to get to a potential weight that you want to be for holiday, for you to probably just come back out the other end and go back to normal and then have to do it again next year.
Because then you're gonna have to get to a point, like you're gonna have to starve yourself. So, like even if somebody came to me, because I much prefer like a long slow process.
Keep as much muscle as possible.
And then your diet is not as aggressive and you're not starving. But if somebody came to me and said, I want to drop 2 stone and I'm going to Ibiza in 12 weeks, I'd be like, right, this is going to have to be very aggressive. You're going to be hungry. You're going to hate me.
Not sustainable.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like you also want that relationship between the coach and your client to be good and be like, right, this, and this. I don't like to tell people off a lot of the time. It's more of a, hey, let's change this, let's alter this. You tell me what's going to be working for you. How hungry are you? Do we need to alter X, Y, and Z? Rather than being, if somebody came to me with that goal, I'd be like, right, I'm probably going to be telling you very extreme things every single week because you've got a very extreme goal that you need to hit. And then you're probably going to hate me as well because I'm going to be telling you off every single week. And I don't like that. Like, I like to have a good relationship with my clients.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've said this on another podcast. But the issue with our generation is that you can get anything in an instant.
Yeah.
So you can get your delivery from Amazon tomorrow, you can get your food delivered to your house, you can get food delivered, like fast food, within 20 minutes. Yeah. There's so many things that you can get instantly. Yeah. You can get instant gratification on Instagram by posting a picture and you get a load of likes. Everything is so instantaneous these days, but unfortunately when it comes to doing fitness, going to the gym, losing weight, putting on muscle, either way, it's not just going to happen. You've got to put the reps in, you've got to put the system in place for you to make it long-term sustainable, for you to keep those results after you finish with your coach. And that's what people need to realise. It's not going to happen overnight. If you're overweight, you didn't get overweight within 2 weeks. It's a long process that took to get to where you are. So to reverse that, it's probably going to be a similar time frame. You didn't put 3 stone on overnight, so don't expect to lose it within a couple of weeks.
Exactly, yeah. It's, again, I think then that instant, like, gratification stuff that you're talking about, like, comes back with all your detox teas, injections, all that kind of stuff, like bypasses, and people choose to have like gastric bypasses, etc. I think they have a time and a place, but again, some people use it because it's like, well, it's going to solve, again, it's a quick fix, it's going to solve a lot of my problems, and it's sad that's the way that it is. But I think, like I said, I was like, I much prefer to do something, work really, really hard at it, be like, I have this goal, whether it be a life goal, a physical goal, a health goal, a business goal, work really hard at it, do it yourself. Yeah, you'll probably have some help along the way, like everybody will have help along the way. But you'll then feel so much more accomplished because you can be like, do you know what? I did that. I worked really hard and I deserve that outcome. Whereas if you just have like a really quick fix, go have an operation, have an injection, you're just like, oh, well.
Sorted.
You don't get that good feeling.
Yeah. You must, like you say, there's a time and a place for it, and I think it'd be more in those extreme cases where you take those measures where there's potential health risks if you stay where you're at, if you're that so far sort of overweight. But the average person doesn't need to be going anywhere near those sorts of products. If you put the long-term work in, you like you say, you work with a coach, you set those systems in place where you're going to be able to maintain it afterwards, and you get that sort of discipline that comes with that, of routine. It's going to be a lot better feeling when you get to, like, if you're taking progress photos and you're looking at your weight over time and then you hit that sort of target, when you look back on where you started, it's going to feel so much better to see the difference.
Yeah, 100%. Because you've put that work in yourself, and you've done, like, even if you've had a coach or anything, like, you've done that, you did that. You just had a little bit of a nudge along the way. Yeah.
And I think that's going to bring us into the side of motivation. So it links in quite a lot with a lot of what we spoke about, I think.
Yeah.
And the thing that people, I've had it quite a lot since I've had my Instagram account. I've been doing it for over 5 years now. And I've had messages saying, like, how do you stay so motivated? You manage to get everything done all the time. And it's like, I'm not motivated quite a lot of the time. It's just the fact that going to the gym is part of my routine. If I don't do it, I feel weird for not doing it. Like, having rest days, don't enjoy, because I don't get that release. But I need them, obviously, to repair my body.
Yeah.
And it's that discipline that keeps you... I heard a quote the other day, and I'm probably going to butcher it. It's like, discipline is what kicks in when you get something done that you didn't want to do, when your motivation isn't there.
Yeah, I think...
Definitely butchered the quote, but it's...
Along those lines.
No,
but this is exactly what I work on with my clients as well, because, like, so many people, like, I'm pretty sure most of my clients that are with me now, when we had our first consultation call, it would have been, I'm not very motivated, I can't do this. And it's like, okay. I'm also one of those people, I don't believe motivation exists. So, like, because, like you said, it will come and go. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. Even, like, as PTs, even, like fitness professionals, athletes, like, no one wants to train every single day. Like, you've probably got other things that you want to do, but it's building those habits that then stick for the rest of your life. Like you said, Liz, like, I know that what days I go to the gym, because I do it the same every single week. It's just part of what I do. Because the thing is, the motivation works on, like, a reward basis. So you have to do something to then get that kind of, like, reward in your brain to then go, oh, brilliant, that was really good, I want to keep doing that. But you have to take that action first, and that's what people forget, is you have to take that initial step. You're not just going to have to be like, oh, I'm going to wait around for 2 weeks till I fancy going, because it's not going to happen, which is why I don't believe it exists. Like, you have to create that, you have to create it yourself.
If you relied on motivation, you wouldn't get a lot done, like, ever, in any sort of aspect, whether it be the gym, whether it be work, anything. Like, if you waited to be motivated every time you did something,
like daily life,
you'd be very unproductive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who's motivated to go do the ironing? Like, that is my one, like, chore. I hate it. I will avoid it at all costs. Like, I purposely
just going around in wrinkly clothes.
The thing is, I even purposely buy clothes so I don't have to iron, because I hate it.
I don't wear it, just gym clothes.
Literally, I live my life in gym clothes, honestly.
Oh, yeah, you've got enough now as well. After that,
I know. Oh my god,
competition you won.
I don't need any for about 18 months now.
How much did you end up winning on that competition?
A stupid amount. It was something like, there was like 6 pairs of shorts, like 10 pairs of leggings, like 14 sports bras. I got like 2 joggers, a hoodie, 6 t-shirts, some like, they were like jogger material, but they were shorts. Oh, what else? I got some like lounge set. There was like 2 or 3 different lounge sets. And then there was a water bottle, a tote bag, and then the brand new Apple AirPod Max headphones as well.
Shut up. No, you didn't. They're like 500-600 quid.
Yes, they are.
Wow.
I haven't taken them out
That's some delivery, that.
I haven't opened them yet because I'm not really a fan of like over-the-head earphones, especially when I'm training because I get way too hot. My ears get hot and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I've always just had like in-ear like AirPods and stuff. So
I barely ever train with anything.
Really? Do you not train with music?
I did in JD when I was there because the music was crap. And, well, to be honest, for ages I just didn't because I always forgot my AirPods. And then I started remembering them a little bit more. And the music progressively got worse over time in JD. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then since I've moved to my new gym, they just play like remixes and SoundCloud like mixes all the time. So it's pretty decent music. Like it's good enough. And yeah, so I've just not bothered.
So you have to have it. I have to have it in my ears. But I'm also one of those people that will listen to like the Spice Girls when I'm training sometimes.
I've listened to some weird tunes before, like 80s mixes and all sorts. Like, I'm just like grooving in my head.
I'll do like little dances in between my sets. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't quite do that.
I do sometimes. People
in my head, I am.
People probably stare at me, and I'm like, I don't care. What is she doing? Am I going to sing? Leave me alone.
So yeah, basically, if you see Holly on nights out in gym clothes, that's the reason, because she doesn't want to iron her stuff, and now she's got like 700 different options to wear.
I need to get through them.
It's crazy.
It was silly. It was silly. Right.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when you posted it on your story.
I couldn't. I think it's because I'd got the notification that I'd like won. It was just like, oh, email your details to here. And obviously, like you have to send through your sizes and stuff.
Yeah.
And because it was for like they brought out a new collection or something, and I was like, oh, I've probably just like won one of each colour. And I was like, I'm there thinking I've won like 4 sets, right? And I was like, oh, wicked. And this like massive, this box was like about the same size as me, showed up, and I was like, what is this? And honestly, it just kept going.
They messed this up.
I was like, I'm not going to tell them. I'm sending it back. The funniest part was like, I had that much stuff, but then obviously they include a returns bag in case you want to send anything back or like doesn't fit or whatever, was like this big. I was like, nothing's fitting in that.
Yeah. It's all
yeah, I was like I'm going to send anything back. What a ridiculous thing to do.
But yeah, so motivation anyway. Yeah. Don't rely on it. You've got to set those habits in place. You've got to be consistent, and that's how you're going to get results in the long term.
A good tip that I've actually been giving my clients this week is like if you struggle to kind of get to the gym. It does depend on kind of like how you work as a person. So some people this might not work for. But for someone like me, I live my life by like my calendar, like your Google Calendar or whatever.
Same.
Every day I wake up, like, right, what am I doing today? So you book your gym sessions in like it's an appointment, and then you're more likely to go. Because if you say to yourself like, oh, I'll try do this, the second you say that, you're not doing it. That's not happening. If you say like, oh, I'll try do this, like the amount of times, even like if in the scenario of like your friends or something, they'll be like, oh, I'll try come out to that meal. They're not going. That's just
you're a no.
That's a no.
Yeah. As well, like with that, make the gym your priority. So book it in first before you're booking your social events.
Yeah,
and then there's more chance that you'll go.
I always say to a lot of my clients on a Sunday evening, because it'll take you 5 minutes. It's not a huge task.
I do the same every Sunday.
It literally takes 5 minutes to like book it. Be like, because you know when you've got work, so you be like, you make that decision whether you're going to go before or you're going to go after work. And book them in, because then when you can, like, if somebody says like, oh, hey, on Wednesday evening, do you want to grab some dinner? I'd be like, actually, I've got to get to the gym. We can either do it when I've finished, or these are the other days that I'm free, and like have that trade off. And like if they're a good friend, they'll understand. And if they turn around and go, no, don't go to the gym, come out with me. Are they like? because your friends and your family need to be there to be able to support you through this journey. It's important to have that like supportive structure to help you achieve it. And if that person's not going to help you and refuses to change what day they want to come and meet you, are they really your friend?
Yeah, there's so many ways as well to sort of keep yourself in the gym. Like you said at the start, when you first started going to the gym, you went on a couple of bits of machines, didn't like it, said that you basically hated the gym. Best way to do is find what you enjoy and just do more of it, instead of maybe seeing like a hit workout on Instagram. You see loads of them because they just get views.
Those too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised after you said you don't like cardio, but you don't have to then go in the gym and be doing hit workouts. Find what you enjoy, and it's going to be a lot more sustainable in the long term. It may not be the best route for you to get to your goal, but if you were to go down that route, you may not enjoy it, and then you're probably never going to get to that goal anyway. So find what you enjoy and just double down on it.
Yeah, 100%. Like I've got like clients that will come to me, they already do like a little bit of exercise, and then I just kind of program around it. A couple of them, I had some girls that come to me that they really like Zumba, and they're like, we don't want to give that up. And I was like, no, you don't have to. Like, absolutely. I was like, we want to kind of keep going to the gym. We want to do the gym on top of it. And I was like, perfect. So I was like, rather than me programming them like 4 or 5 days worth of gym workouts, I just program them 2. And then they do their Zumba on top of it. And then I've got clients that come to me and be like, oh, I really like swimming. And I'm like, perfect. Keep doing it, because again, you're going to stick to it. And you need to, if you've got stuff that you enjoy, the point is that you're going to stick to it, because otherwise, if I turn around and go, I'm actually going to program you 4 or 5 days worth of gym workouts, I want you to do this instead. If you've got time afterwards to swim, then fine. Like, it would also make me a pretty bad coach.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you've got to obviously understand the trade-off of I want to look this way, or I want to have this performance goal. You've got to maybe sometimes have that sit down with the client and say, there's better ways of getting to that, but then this is the trade-off. Like, if you want to keep doing this, then this is where we're going to get to. It's going to be slower, potentially. Might not even get to where you want it to be, but as long as you have that understanding, then it's going to be a lot more sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. But again, that's that communication that comes between you and your client, of going, right, this is, and you set the expectations and you set that time parameter of how long this could take you. And yeah, like, week on, week out, keep going with it.
Perfect. I think we're going to wrap that one up there.
Yeah. Small.
Have you got any...
I was going to say small blip in the middle, but...
Yeah, hopefully we're okay. I think we are.
There's about a minute of me going, oh no, my internet's dead.
Yeah, no, literally, my screen just went black, and I was like, oh no, like, what's happened? And then all of a sudden I had like the Apple logo come up in the loading bar, and I was like, as if it's done an update whilst I'm on a podcast. I didn't get any notification.
Didn't even ask me, rude.
No, yeah, literally I was like, oh, great. But I think we're all good. So, where can everyone find you on social media?
So I am, most of what I do is on Instagram. I am on Facebook as well, but it's exactly the same. So my tag is Holly Elizabeth PT.
Perfect. I'll whack all of the links in the show notes below if you're watching on YouTube. Holly, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been a very good chat.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you drop it a like, and if you're new, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.